Hey, good afternoon. This is Spirit Journey, and today is Saturday, September 24th, 2016, and it's after 2:30 p.m. This day, when I look out this window in front of me, it actually looks very beautiful, and looking out the window gives me a sense of hope, despite the things that are happening in the media. It was just 2 days ago that I posted a video addressed to our president and my upset about the shooting of an unarmed middle-aged black man, Terrence Crutcher of Tulsa, Oklahoma. He had gotten killed by a cop, and I think it was a white female cop, was shot on Friday, September 16th, 2016. Okay, and the police were en route to a call. And in the process of the police going to the scene of the crime, they came upon Mr. Crutcher's vehicle that was broken down in the middle of the highway, a road. So he was not the focal point for why the police were dispatched, but he was just so happened to be on the road. Anybody could have a vehicle, broken down on the road, but for him, it ended in his demise, and he was unarmed, and his hands were up. And again, I'm not going to go in detail about that one because I did my video about him, and I'm just getting over that incident. I just posted that video about him just 2 days ago, and now I'm just finding out late yesterday about another killing of a black man, middle-aged black man in his 40s, a Mr. Keith Lamont Scott. He was shot on Tuesday, September 20th, 2016, sometime around 4 p.m. And he was just, his routine, he was waiting for his kid to get home from school, and the police were at his building complex, not because of him, but for something else. But somehow, just being where he was resulted in his death. Let me show you what I found so far. Yeah, and I want to show you what it looks like outside. This is what it looks like outside, and it's absolutely beautiful. And looking out this window gives me a sense of hope that there is a bright future despite the things that are happening here. Okay, right in front of me is my computer, and I'm going to play what I found about the latest killing of Keith Lamont Scott.
On the ground. What happened? Well, that's where the stories start to differ. Taisha Williams says she saw everything from the first to the last fatal moments.
He got out his car with his hands up to comply because the police told him to get out the car. He got out the car, the book fell off his lap, the book he was reading. He got out the car, and then he walked around his car to the back of his car. When he walked back there, when his wife was running down saying, "No, stop, don't do that," by the time she got right here to where his car was, they had shot that man 4 times.
But the police insist Keith Scott had a gun and their officers were worried for their safety.
The officers gave loud, clear, verbal commands, which were also heard by many of the witnesses.
Okay, yeah.
They were instructing the subject, once he got out of the vehicle, to drop the weapon. In spite of the verbal commands, Mr. Scott, as I said, exited his vehicle armed with a handgun as the officers continued to yell at him to drop it. He stepped out, posing a threat to the officers, and Officer Brentley Vinson subsequently fired his weapon, striking the subject.
News of the killing brought protests onto the streets of Charlotte. They turned violent. Stores and vehicles were attacked. Police in riot gear came under attack. Bricks and bottles.
Also have to ask, the police officer that shot Mr. Scott was also a black man.
Teresa Hernandez heard the shots. She insists the police story makes no sense.
Why will you have a gun when you're waiting for your son to get off the school bus? He wasn't a criminal. He was on disability. He was at home recovering from a motorcycle accident. Him having a gun just does not add up.
This is the latest officer-involved killing of a black man.
Okay. Sorry. Okay. So it doesn't make sense, but the common denominator that they were both black men, they're in their 40s, they were not committing a crime at the time of their murder by the police officers, and it has to stop. The whole thing with the police is that it is a police culture. It's a system that it serves almost as a quasi-military institution. It doesn't matter whether the cops are female or white female, as in the case with the killing of Terrence Crutcher, or in the latest killing of Keith Lamont Scott. He was killed by a black male police officer. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether they're white, Asian, Hispanic. It's the fact that it's the institution, and the institution serves as a quasi-military and an institution of harassment, especially if you're a member of the African diaspora, whether you're Anglophone, English speaking, or you're Hispanic. It doesn't matter. And so cops are being used to target these individuals, and now they want to try to reestablish the stop and frisk. And I think this would be a horrible thing for all of America. I live in a very, very big city where you have virtually every nationality, multiple languages spoken. You have such ethnic diversity. And with this, it seems to be telling that when you have police going into, let's say, Chinatown, I never heard of a situation where cops had to go to this particular area, and en route to this area, do they find an Asian person just minding their business and they're told to, freeze, hands up. I've never heard of that. I've never heard of just killing of people, let's say, whether it be a Chinatown or whether it be a Korean neighborhood or a Hasidic neighborhood or an Eastern European neighborhood or a North African community. I've never heard of situations where cops are being sent down there to harm anyone. I've never heard of it since my time living here in New York City. But the only time that I hear of someone being killed with no provocation is in these, the African diaspora communities, whether it's Spanish speaking or English speaking or French speaking. Why is it that the cops seem to know how to police neighborhoods that are non-African American and serve the people and not view the people as if they're criminals, but that there are innocent civilians that are to be protected? But when it comes down to the African diaspora communities, that the police seem to not know how to protect us, but to perceive us and to treat us as if we are the criminal. This is because that it's something by design, that they are taught, the police culture is teaching these police officers to view the African diaspora communities as criminals. They are not being programmed that Asians, Muslim communities from North Africa, Eastern Europe, they're not being taught to target those places, but to protect those areas. And I think that is telling. And that's what needs to be exposed, and that is what needs to stop. Why I'm doing this video is that while looking at different videos about these incidences, I came across a video with Donald Trump in it, and him saying that he wants to bring back what they call stop and frisk. And I think they had this, stop and frisk also in New York City at one time. But let me show you that video. Okay. Okay. Okay, I'm going to put it on.
2016 Republican presidential candidate Donald Trump. As I promised, I am turning it over to the audience. Sir, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. How you doing, Mr. Trump?
How are you?
Good. My name is Ricardo Sims, and I had a question about, there's been a lot of violence in the black community. I want to know, what would you do to help stop that violence, black on black crime?
Right. Well, one of the things I'd do, Ricardo, is I would do stop and frisk. I think you have to. We did it in New York. It worked incredibly well. And you have to be proactive. And, you really help people sort of change their mind automatically. You understand. You have to have, in my opinion, I see what's going on here. I see what's going on in Chicago. I think stop and frisk. In New York City, it was so incredible the way it worked. Now, we had a very good mayor, but New York City was incredible the way that worked. So I think that would be one step you could do.
I'll just add one thing to Mr. Trump's comments. The murder rate was around 2,500, a very high percentage of African Americans, and it went down below 500 because of the increased police activity in community. So it was lives saved every year because of the concern and the resources. Pastor Scott, you see the violence. I gave the numbers about.
Okay. Wow. I'm concerned about this stop and frisk because, for one thing, just like with these two shootings of Mr. Scott and Mr. Crutcher, that a police officer at any time could just, hey, stop where you're going. I want to frisk you. I want to, I think it's going to exacerbate an already tense situation. No one wants somebody's hands on their bodies. One thing I remember about this stop and frisk was that they were, the police officers were touching their private parts, and it's dehumanizing. And I think to have a stop and frisk is explosive. Even though in this video it says that the amount of crime decreased, it's putting, see, the stop and frisk, it's really targeted at poor black neighborhoods. It's not something that's going to be implemented in a rich white community or a middle-class white neighborhood. It's really designed to intimidate black people, or as they say, people of color. And so if you're a person of color, well, I would say, to be more exact, people of the African diaspora. So whether you're English-speaking black, Spanish-speaking black, French-speaking black, etc., you are going to be the target. Whether you're light-skinned or dark-skinned, doesn't matter. When you're perceived to be from this heritage, you are a target, not people that look like Donald Trump. Again, he is, it's not going to be focused on him. So I think it's going to be wrong. And the other reason why I'm posting this video is that it's about intent. What is the intent of all this shooting? Like, you remember hearing Hillary Clinton say, don't make this a waste. You know, I forget how she said it. Don't, like when something happens, you know, you use the event for your political gain, you know. So I think what's going to happen is that, again, a police state, that again, these things are happening. It's being experimented on first in black communities, and then eventually it will trickle down to the mainstream white communities. I saw the other day, I have it on my cell phone, I want to show you. I think they're just implementing reason for a police state. Look at this picture. I took this on my cell phone. This was taken on 8th Avenue and between 32nd and 31st Street in Manhattan. Okay, and you see a gentleman in fatigues entering the vehicle. That's for war. And I've seen other things. I wish I had pictures of it, but men in bulletproof vests and these automatic weapons, like it's a war. Okay, that picture was just taken yesterday on the 23rd, September 23rd, 2016. And I think all this is just escalating because they want to find reason why to implement the harassment of the public. But again, they're first going to experiment on the black community, but they are going to get white communities as well. That's what I believe. And stop and frisk is just another step. They want to make this national, I believe. So I think when you get Trump, he's probably going to implement it nationally, stop and frisk. But again, it's not going to be utilized the same. It's just going to be who they think is a criminal. So if you're a person of the African diaspora, you're going to be targeted. And I think that's very problematic. And again, with the police, with the latest shooting with Keith Lamont Scott of Charlotte, North Carolina, that, again, he was just an individual. They could plant weapons on him, you know. One of the victims, one of the witnesses there was saying that he did comply, and it's a book that fell out, you know. But again, in one video, they were showing that there was something on the ground that looked like a weapon. So what is this? Was it something that was placed there, or did he have? But let's say if he did have a weapon in his car, it's an open carry state, and it's not against the law, and it's this element about carrying, you know, having your right of carrying a weapon with you, you know. So even if you're a white person or yellow person, red person, you're in your vehicle, they could do the same thing to you. So ultimately, it's about your aim. What is the aim? Whether you're open carrying, whether you have a permit or you don't have a permit. You could be minding your own business, and both of these gentlemen, Scott and Crutcher, were minding their own business and not doing anything illegal at the time of the police involvement in their lives. And yet the outcome was the same. So, what I'm saying is, what could be done? I think people in these communities should strategize a strong message to the system just like what they did in the 1950s. See, it's economics. Everything is about power and money. And when you redirect that power of money back in your hands, I think the system will back off. So I think people in these communities that are victimized should go to their place of worship or wherever where they meet and strategize something national about withholding your dollars. Withhold your dollars from luxury items like getting your hair done, getting hair weaves, buying jewelry, buying expensive electronics, buying luxury cars, buying vacation trips, all these things. See, that is power when you withhold your dollars. This is something that could possibly be done national to, again, save your money. But it's something that could be done. Money is power. Withhold your money. Just buy the essentials, your food, your medicines, all those other stuff. Then the people, the not vendors, the merchants will be, hey, you know, what's going on? We want our money. So it's something that could be done. And definitely say that you don't want this stop and frisk. Because again, as we see with these two gentlemen, that it doesn't matter what you're doing at the time. It's what these law officials want to do to you. And if they're in a bad mood, they would tell you to stop so they can frisk you, even though you're just minding your own business. So, let me know what you think about this video, any solutions for the community at large, and what you think about this stop and frisk. Please submit your comments below, and to continue watching my channel, and once again, to give me the thumbs up. Please live at peace, live in joy, enjoy your families and your pets, and to pray for solidarity and a new awakening in America, one of enlightenment. Okay? Take care. Bye-bye.